I'd like to introduce Cameron Gasaway, firefighter with the Madison Fire Department. Cameron just got back from some special training on lithium-ion battery safety. I'm going to let him introduce himself here, tell us a little bit about himself, and then launch into his presentation. Very timely topic here. Cameron, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Mike. Morning, everybody. My name's Cameron Gasaway. I'm with the Madison, Wisconsin Fire Department. So a little bit about me. Started my fire career in 2010 when I joined the Marine Corps as an aircraft firefighter. Did my 4 years in the Marines, then joined Madison Fire Department in 2015. And since 2015, I have been assigned to the Hazardous Incident Team, which is a state-run hazmat team that covers, I think it's 7 or 8 counties, including Dane County and the surrounding areas. And then I'm also on temporary assignment right now to the Fire Training Division, where we provide fire training for all 400 members of the fire department. So as far as lithium-ion batteries, kind of how things got started, Mike and I were talking a little bit before the meeting started here. So a couple of years ago, New York City really started seeing an uptick in fires, fire fatalities, and other related incidents. And they started doing some research and looking into contributing factors. And they started to notice the common denominator seemed to be lithium-ion batteries and related consumer devices. So whether that's your e-bikes, your hoverboards, your e-cigarettes, all kinds of different things are run on lithium batteries. So New York started to see an uptick on this, and with them being such a large city, they see things a lot more often and a lot sooner than a city like Madison or any other really city in the United States would. So fortunately, New York took the stance of this is an issue. We see more and more of it every day. So they decided to start publishing post-incident analyses and all kinds of different documentation and stuff related to their incidents with lithium-ion batteries. So that way, other departments around the country and even around the world can start kind of getting information and figuring out their game plan for these lithium-ion batteries. In addition to that, there are several companies or organizations, if you will, that now host lithium-ion battery trainings. So whether that be large batteries, such as what you would find in vehicles, or sometimes even power storage, they're using lithium-ion batteries in like buildings for utilities, all the way down to, like I said before, your consumer electronics, your cell phones, your laptops, your mobility devices, really anything these days can have batteries in them. So again, battery basics. Battery technology has improved tremendously. You'd be hard pressed to find a version of a ported tool or piece of equipment 10 years ago that is not battery powered today. I mean, the technology has really come a long way, and a lot of that is due to lithium-ion batteries. So the reason lithium-ion have become so prevalent is because they have a relatively compact size and a high power density for their size. So if you think about something like a table saw, back 10 years ago, the only option you had for a table saw was to plug it into 120 and run it off of a extension cord or a generator or a house outlet, whatever it may be. And now you can run a table saw off of a high output lithium ion battery. Same with a miter saw, same with all kinds of tools. and equipment that, again, was typically more plug-in based has now become battery powered because of these lithium ion batteries. And it's not only the big stuff that lithium ion batteries is being used in, again, because of their relatively high power density for their size, you're starting to see lithium ion batteries be used in a lot of small devices too. And part of what also adds into that is lithium ion batteries, because of how they are constructed, can actually be made into many shapes. A lot of people think of batteries like your typical double A battery. It's a cell. And with lithium ion batteries, again, because of their construction, they can be constructed into pouches, and then those pouches can be twisted up, they can be laid flat, anything like that. So we're even starting to see lithium ion technology and stuff like hearing aids. Some people have hearing aids that when you go to sleep at night, you plug them in or you put them on a docking station and they power up. And a lot of those, because again, you want those to be small and to fit in your ear and not be heavy and cumbersome, are using lithium ion battery technology. So, again, where are they found? Almost any rechargeable battery can be lithium ion. And the chances are the smaller it is and the newer that something is, chances are it's going to be a lithium ion battery. They even have rechargeable AA batteries that are lithium ion. So some folks like that for um, to kind of replace using regular AA batteries in older electronics, whether it be digital cameras, or I've even seen people use them in like TV remotes, things like that, because they like the fact that they last longer due to that high power density. And number two, they're rechargeable, so you're not wasting a bunch of money and creating more waste by using traditional AA batteries.
I wanted to ask
So
Cameron just a second. Um, I've got some old batteries that I've been using for a long time. Nickel metal hydride. Are those have any of the problems that lithium ion batteries? And you're going to talk about those later, but I'm kind of jumping the gun here. Nickel metal
yeah,
hydride batteries.
typically those don't have the same issues that we're seeing with lithium ion batteries. And basically what happens with lithium ion batteries, if and I would encourage anybody, if you have not seen a lithium ion battery fail, you know, give go and search it on YouTube. There are plenty of videos of I would try something along the lines of lithium ion battery fire or lithium ion battery thermal runaway. So just because of how they're constructed, and again, we won't really get into the technical aspect of how they're constructed and why their construction leads them to go into thermal runaway and to start on fire. But typically, those older batteries do not employ the same technology, and the components inside those batteries don't violently react with one another like you would see with the lithium ion batteries. So again, there are pluses and minuses to everything, and I should preface this by saying this presentation is in no way, shape, or form meant to um, scare you or make you think you need to get rid of all your lithium ion batteries, because number one, you can't get rid of all of them. If you just took a look around whatever room you're sitting in right now, I bet you could probably count 5 or more items that are being run by lithium ion batteries, including probably whatever you're watching this on, whether it be a laptop, an iPad. The only exception would be a desktop. But also, if you take a couple of precautions, lithium ion batteries can be very safe and very efficient to use. So again, those older batteries had a lower power density. So They weren't able to provide as much peak on demand power. So again, like going back to those things like a table saw, that requires an incredible amount of power right now to get that blade up and spinning to speed. And that's where the lithium ion batteries really shine, is they're able to push an incredible amount of power through in a relatively short period of time, giving you the ability to run those types of machines. And again, same with cars, you know how much energy it takes to get a car rolling from a stop. And that's why these electric cars are using lithium ion batteries. We also don't see the same corrosion issues. So, you go to change batteries in something that hasn't been changed for a long time, you can find that battery corrosion in there. And that's the reaction between the chemicals. Lithium ion batteries don't really have that problem. So again, it's an improvement on that front. Does that kind of answer the question?
It sure does. Thanks.
Sure. So now we'll kind of move on to some of the different, now that we've done a quick kind of overview of battery lithium ion batteries, where they're used, why they're used, all that kind of stuff. We'll start moving on to some kind of more of the meat and potatoes. And then I'm going to leave a lot of time at the end for questions, because generally when I have discussions with people about lithium ion batteries, there tend to be a lot of questions. So we'll make sure to leave some time at the end for that. So one of the biggest things that we've seen and has been seen around the country as far as when lithium ion batteries tend to have issues is charging. So there's a couple of different ways that we can help kind of prevent these issues from happening. So number one is charging batteries until they're full, but not leaving batteries on the charger for days at a time. And before I kind of got into all this, I was very guilty of it. I have my drill batteries and stuff in my garage, and when I was done using it, I would throw it on the charger, and it would sit there for weeks until I was ready to do another project. I would take it off the charger, put it in my drill, and get back to work. Now we're seeing that sometimes these chargers or the batteries themselves, if they have faults in them, can actually cause the battery to overcharge. And if the battery overcharges, that's when it becomes an issue with those cells heating up. And then they go into that thermal runaway, and the thermal runaway then leads to the fire. So if you can kind of think about it, I'll try to explain this the best I can. The batteries themselves actually don't start on fire right away. So if you can imagine, you've got your battery, and inside of it are a bunch of cells, individual cells, and that's how these batteries are constructed. What happens is typically there's a fault in one of those cells or pouches, and that'll cause it to overheat. And when it overheats, you got to think all those cells and pouches are all touching each other. So once one starts to overheat, then it heats up another, then it heats up another, then it heats up another. And eventually, once so much heat gets built up, it will actually cause those cells to rupture. And once they rupture, the gases that are released from in those cells are what actually ignite, and then that is what starts the fire. And in fact, like I said, if you go on YouTube and you watch a video on lithium ion battery thermal runaway, you may notice before they start on fire, you'll see a big puff of white smoke, and that's those battery cells releasing the chemical that's inside of them. And then even sometimes, even if it does go into thermal runaway and release that smoke, it doesn't always start on fire. Oftentimes they do, but sometimes they just release that smoke, and then that battery is damaged, and it's going into thermal runaway. So again, charge your batteries until full, but try not to leave your batteries on the charger for a long time. And then I see that somebody raised their hand. Harold, do you have a question?
Yes, many of the chargers have like a red light when you first start charging, and then they go to a green light, which indicates that they're charged. Now, leaving them on for a while, you know, because you can't continuously observe these things, when it goes to green, is that then not charging? Is that in a state where you don't need to be concerned about overcharging?
So typically once they go to green, and depending on the charger, it could be any number of color options. Like I know for like my drill batteries, if it's blinking red, it's charging, and if it's solid red, that means it's fully charged. So you gotta, read your user manual and know the charger. So once it reaches that state of green or fully charged, that's when we would suggest that you take these items off of the charger, because the battery is then fully charged and it's still plugged in, so it still has power going into it. And essentially, what you're relying on is the safety mechanism either inside that battery or inside that charger to not keep feeding that battery energy when it doesn't need it. So that kind of moves on to my next point of making sure that you only use the charger that came with the battery. So again, there's kind of two different technologies to regulate these batteries. There's either a controller in the charger or a controller in the battery. And what that controller is supposed to do is it's supposed to control the rate of charge in these batteries to make sure that they don't charge too fast, they don't get too hot when they're charging, and when they're fully charged, to stop the flow of electricity into the battery to keep them from being overcharged. Now, obviously, I say all that and you go, well, that all sounds very safe and very practical. And it is, if it's all working properly. So, where you can run into problems, and that's why we say only use the charger that came with the battery, is if you're charging a battery that does not have a controller in it, and then you're using a charger from a different item, and that charger does not have a controller in it, you're connecting up two devices that don't have controllers in them, and that can cause the issue with overcharging, charging too fast, charging while hot, and lead to those issues of thermal runaway like we talked about. The other thing too is it's depending on the quality of construction. Those controllers or safety devices can fail over time. So again, we strongly suggest that you only use the charger that came with the battery, or one that's approved by the device manufacturer. So some of you might be familiar, and I only have an iPhone. I'm not an Android person, so I'll speak to the iPhone, but I'm sure the Android is the same way. Let's say you want to get a longer charging cable for your iPhone. A lot of them, when you go on there, it will say, this cable meets iPhone standard, and then it'll lay out the standard or whatever. And I'm sure if you really wanted to nerd out, you could go online, find exactly what that standard is. But essentially, that's the manufacturer saying, we manufacture our product to Apple's specification, so that way our product works properly, and Apple, sets out that specification, so that way people know that when they plug an approved charging cable into their phone, that it's going to work properly and work safely, if that makes sense. And a lot of manufacturers do that. So the other thing too is we recommend charging batteries away from exits or egress paths. And what that kind of means is this again comes as a big lesson out of New York. So obviously in New York, We have a lot of apartment buildings and a lot of people living in a very small space. Well, a lot of these people use e-bikes and scooters and electric skateboards and all that to get around. And what they do at night is they bring their e-device up into their apartment and they plug it in right next to the front door so that way it's ready to grab when they when they leave in the morning. Well, obviously, that's all very convenient for them. However, what they're finding is if these devices do have an issue and they do go into thermal runaway and they do start on fire, now people have blocked their only egress path out of their apartment or their house or whatever it may be. And again, when you if you go and watch videos on YouTube of these batteries running away, you will notice that it is, for lack of better terms, extremely violent. When they let go very, very quickly, and it is a lot of energy. Obviously, again, going back to they use lithium-ion batteries because of their high energy storage. When they go into thermal runaway, they're releasing that energy that's stored in the battery, but instead of releasing it as electricity, they're releasing it as heat. And that's what causes these fires to be so violent and take off so quickly. So these are some of the common questions that we get asked. So I'll kind of just run through them, and again, I'll leave plenty of time at the end for other folk, for you guys to ask questions if anything comes up along the way here. So where can you buy battery devices that are well made? So typically speaking, your big box stores are going to have battery powered devices that have gone through safety testing and are more than likely made by reputable manufacturers. So again, you're thinking like your Targets, your Best Buys, your Walmarts, stuff like that. Typically, they're not buying or they're not selling products that are made made in China by companies that, nobody's ever heard of or have never gone through formal testing. And again, it has less to do with things being made in China versus the United States and stuff like that, because almost all these battery devices are made in China in one form or another. It has more to do with the formal testing process and the quality control, making sure that the connections on these batteries are made properly, making sure that they're sealed up properly, making sure that they go through a quality assurance program and stuff like that. So, you can pretty well bet that companies that you've heard of before have all these processes in place. So again, going back to the example of a cell phone, Apple, any cell phone really. Now I understand we've heard various news articles and stuff here and there about cell phone batteries going bad and all that stuff in people's pockets, or whether they're under people's pillows while they're charging them and stuff like that. But the instances of cell phones going into thermal runaway are relatively low, because the companies that make cell phones charge you a lot of money for cell phones now, and they want their product to be safe, easy to use, and it's obviously a very bad day for them if they use crappy batteries and iPhones start melting down in people's pockets, and tons of people get hurt across the country. iPhones are, people are going to stop buying them, and Apple's shares go down and all that stuff. So the companies that have been around for a while and the companies that want to put a good product out there are typically good companies to go with as far as who to buy from and where to buy from. I get asked a lot about Amazon. Amazon, for the most part, is pretty good. Again, I know you can kind of get into the weeds of Amazon and you can find some very cheap stuff made by some shady manufacturers, but Amazon at least tries a little bit. Where we see people have issues is they want to buy an e-bike, but they're kind of sticker shocked by the price. So then they get on the internet and they start going down the Google rabbit hole of e-bikes, and they find one that's cheaper, and then they find one that's cheaper, and then they find one that's cheaper, and then they find one that's even cheaper. And the more and more that you go down that line of being cheaper and cheaper is probably where you're running into companies that are making copycat devices, or companies that are using lower quality products with not as much quality assurance, and maybe even using recycled products and stuff like that. And they're just not going through the safety testing that some of the more name brand products go through. So we always like to try to say, you kind of get what you pay for. So if you're going to buy some sort of battery powered device, I'm not saying you should buy the absolute Cadillac every single time. However, if you can, the more the more expensive an item is, the better chance it is of being a high quality item. Let's see, where to buy replacement or additional batteries. So this kind of goes back to the same thing. So let's say you have a drill battery that dies, and here in the city on the fire department, we use DeWalt batteries for some of our tools. So DeWalt batteries are expensive. I mean, they're well over $100 for a battery, and it sucks because when they go bad, you're like, man, that's $100 I have to spend on a battery, and it should have lasted longer. And it's frustrating. It just is. But if you again go down the Google rabbit hole, you can really find some companies that are making lithium ion batteries that quote unquote fit DeWalt tools. However, just because they fit doesn't mean that they have the right mechanisms built into the battery, or again, the right quality assurance to make sure that those batteries are built properly into the proper specifications. So as far as replacement or additional batteries, we always like to say, buy them from the manufacturer of whatever product that you want new or additional batteries from. So again, if it's an e-bike and it's made by, well, I can't even think of a bicycle manufacturer. If it's made by Schwinn, buy the batteries from them. It is expensive. It kind of stinks, but those batteries are approved by them, built for them, tested for their actual product to make sure that those batteries can handle the type of output that their product requires.
Cameron,
Next,
can I jump in here for just a second? Is
sure.
there a seal of approval that you can look for? I mean, like, used to be you bought something electrical, it had the UL on it. The Underwriter Laboratories had put it through its tests.
Yep, that's exactly what to look for, and I believe my next slide actually gets into that a little bit, but we can skip ahead real quick.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. So again, when it comes to some of those replacement batteries and even those first time buying things, whether you're buying an e-bike or whatever for the first time, this is the logo to look for. This is Underwriters Laboratory. They're actually based just outside of Chicago, and they're a third-party testing facility that focuses on consumer safety. So if the battery is tested and approved by UL, it should have the logo that's on the right hand of the screen somewhere on it. It might not be red and white. It might just be kind of etched in there. And again, sometimes some of the websites, product descriptions, all that kind of stuff might say UL tested or UL approved. And those are some of the best bets. Again, if you're not real sure, it's like, this company seems pretty good. It's kind of on the cheaper side, so I'm a little worried about it, but it seems like a good deal. If it's got that UL rating on it, it's certainly a better bet because that has again undergone third party independent testing for safety and quality assurance type stuff. So another question we get is what do I do if my batteries get damaged or if the batteries go bad? So we'll start with if a battery just goes bad, if it won't take a charge, doesn't hold a charge super long, whatever it may be, you're done with it and you're ready to get rid of it. So lithium-ion batteries cannot be thrown away in the regular trash because if they are crushed by the compactor in the trash truck, that can cause them to go into thermal runaway. And a common misconception is, well, the battery's dead and it doesn't, that I hit the indicator and it says it's dead and it doesn't charge and anything like that. So there's no energy in it. And that's actually false. Lithium-ion batteries hold a lot of energy. However, even at the low end of their usage, like if it's got 3 bars being full and 1 bar being empty, even if it's all the way empty, it still has quite a bit of energy in it just because, again, of how they're constructed. Lithium-ion batteries cannot fully discharge, otherwise they won't recharge, and it just kind of has to do with their lifespan. So just don't think just because, oh, this battery's no good anymore, it doesn't hold a charge, it won't charge on my charger anymore, I can just throw it in the trash. Please don't do that. Again, the trash compactor on the truck will crush the battery and can still cause it to go into thermal runaway. So I know here in Madison, a company called Clean Sweep takes care of lithium-ion batteries. You can call them up and they'll, I believe they're based at the Dane County landfill. And you can take your lithium-ion batteries out there and they'll dispose of them properly. As far as if your battery gets damaged, so any number of ways batteries can get damaged. Drop them from a high height. You're on a e-scooter and you wreck your scooter, or you get kind of you run into something, or you get hit by a car, or any number of ways that these batteries can be damaged, including just if there's like a crack in the outer case, water can then get in, and water can cause some problems with the lithium-ion batteries as well. So if your batteries do get damaged, the first thing that we suggest is that you don't try to charge them or use them. If you notice that the battery's damaged or you think it might have been damaged in some sort of incident, don't use the battery. Number 2 is don't try to open it up. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to, tinker with it, because again, that can cause a short circuit and then start the thermal runaway process. The best thing that we can say to do is if you notice that a battery is damaged and you can put it outside somewhere, whether that be in a backyard or somewhere kind of away from some flammable structures, take it outside and then call some sort of disposal company, whether that be Clean Sweep in Madison or another company in your local area. And again, a quick Google search of lithium-ion battery disposal companies will probably send you in the right direction if you're not in the Madison area about getting rid of your batteries. Let's see, in the last, where should I take my battery powered device to be repaired? So some of these batteries can be repaired. So e-bikes, for example, if you're starting to notice, your range is going down and it's not holding a charge for as long and it's not propelling you along as fast as it once did. Sometimes some of these companies do offer a repair program where they have certified technicians and certified facilities and all that kind of stuff, where you can bring these batteries in and they can actually safely open them up and repair them. And again, we just always recommend that you go with whoever the manufacturer of that device or that battery is. A lot of times, if they can be repaired, they will have information on how to get it repaired. And then if you're having a tough time finding information, you can always try to go back to where you bought it from. I know several bike shops in the Madison area that deal with e-bikes are very good and very well informed about battery technology and their particular batteries. And they'll often send people home with battery safety flyers when they buy battery powered devices. So a lot of times, again, if you're having questions about a specialty piece of equipment, where you bought it from or the manufacturer is going to be the best place for you to get information. Again, we talked about UL and everything relating to them. So, meat and potatoes. What do you do if your battery starts on fire, starts going into thermal runaway? Okay. This is very, very kind of weird to people, but we say don't try to extinguish the fire. Okay. Multiple reasons why. Number one, that cloud of white smoke that I talked about that the batteries often let off beforehand, which is the failure of the battery cell and releasing the chemicals that are inside. That stuff is extremely nasty. Breathing that in, even just a couple, 2, 3, 4 breaths, can often be just as toxic, if not more, than smoke from a fire. So that creates its own danger right there. The other thing too is lithium-ion batteries can react negatively with water. So sometimes people, their battery starts smoking or whatever, and they throw it in their bathtub and start running the water. Or they throw it in the toilet, or they throw it in the sink and turn the faucet on. Sometimes that can make things worse. And the thing about lithium-ion batteries is they're actually, when they go into thermal runaway, they're a self-sustaining reaction. So we've had people ask about like dry chemical extinguishers, like the classic ones that you might keep under your sink for kitchen fires and stuff like that. Even though those powders are meant to smother fire and stop fire in more traditional materials, lithium-ion batteries actually, due to the decomposition of the chemicals inside, essentially create their own oxygen source. And there are a few videos on the internet of people who, whether on purpose or not, have started lithium-ion batteries into thermal runaway, and they've actually dropped them in, whether it be a bathtub or a lake or whatever, and you can actually still see that that battery is putting off smoke underneath the water, and it's actually able to ignite for a short period under the water. So again, these batteries are a self-sustaining reaction. So there's essentially nothing that you can do with what you have in your house to put these fires out once they start. So we just say immediately evacuate if you can. So again, that goes back to the not storing your devices next to your front door or your means of egress. So immediately evacuate, close the door behind you, and then the same thing as always. Call 911, and then if you live in an apartment building or whatever, pull the fire alarm if it's not already going off from the smoke detectors. And then that's, of course, where we come in, and we have more tools and equipment that can help us put those fires out and to help us remove those damaged battery cells. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of my presentation. Like I said, I wanted to leave everybody enough time because I know generally there are a lot of questions involved. So I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that anybody might have.
Feel free to unmute yourselves, everyone, and just start asking.
I just have a comment. This is Barb. I started using countdown timers I plug in my cell phone to it or anything I'm charging, and they turn off after 20 minutes, an hour, whatever you set it to. But I like to do that because I don't like to overcharge my cell phone anyway, because it's bad for the battery. So do you have any comments about those? They're
Yeah,
like $10 on Amazon.
Yeah, again, those that certainly is definitely a great way of managing that kind of leaving items on the charger too long. And like I said, with anything, if you buy something from a big name brand and that's UL listed and all this, that, and the other, leaving them on the charger for like an extra hour or two, once it's fully charged while you're out running errands or whatever, shouldn't be the deal breaker. Again, use the charger that is meant to go with that battery. And again, just don't leave something on the charger for half a day, days, hour, weeks, that kind of stuff on end. Try to take those things off, when you remember to. Like I said, specifically, I was bad with drill batteries because I'd throw them on the charger and they were in my garage, and whether you just don't walk out there a ton and all that kind of stuff, they're really easy to leave behind. So whenever I'm charging stuff like my drill batteries, I like to just set a timer on my phone for a couple hours down the road, and that gives me a reminder to go out. And if they are fully charged, I just take them off the charger. And again, lithium-ion batteries, part of their technology is that they're really good at holding a charge for a long period of time off the charger, whereas some of those older style batteries, it was better to leave them on the charger because then it kept them charged up. All right, let's see. We're going to go with Lori. I see you have a question.
What about EV charger? EV lithium-ion batteries. What about the risk of fire with those?
Are you talking specifically vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So again, we were kind of talking before the meeting started here. The lithium-ion vehicle fire things, whether it be your Teslas or whatever other brand, get a lot of news attention. They really do.
Mhm.
However, compared to gasoline vehicles, and I just saw a study done on this, the chances of a electric vehicle starting on fire versus a conventional fossil fuel powered vehicle starting on fire are relatively low. They get all the attention because it's kind of all the media hype right now. In general, what we see when it comes to vehicles having issues is damage from accidents or road debris hitting the battery, because a lot of times those batteries are on the bottom side of the car.
Mhm.
And then the other issue that we see is not the improper use of chargers. So the electric vehicle manufacturers have not quite come together and come up with a standard charging system or port, if you will. So sometimes that requires people to have adapters and people to choose on the actual charging device itself, what type of voltage or what phase of electricity that those vehicles need. And oftentimes, those electric vehicle owners are pretty savvy as far as what their vehicle requires for charging. But like I said, we're we're not seeing a ton of the electric vehicle stuff. Where we're seeing more issues is with the consumer electronic stuff, you know, um, e-bikes, scooters, all that kind of stuff. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Let's see. I got Cheryl next.
Hi, so I have a couple of questions for you, and the first one is with my work laptop.
Yep.
It plugs into one of the docking stations, which of course is plugged into the wall. Is
Yep.
there, a lot of times I need that connected for printer access and, other things are plugged into that docking station. So is that bad to keep it plugged in all the time?
No, because again, so that I'm assuming that docking station is made by the same company that your laptop is, whether it be Dell or HP or whatever. In fact, my laptop right now is plugged into the exact same thing. Because those devices are often made by the same company. Again, the laptop has a smart chip in it that monitors the battery health and the charge state and all that kind of stuff to try to you know keep the battery healthy. And then oftentimes that docking station will have another one. Again, where we run into issues with laptops is number one, damage. People drop their laptops, whether it be putting it in a bag or whatever. They drop it and it hits the battery, and that can cause the battery to a balloon or go into that thermal runaway. And the other thing that we often see is people, like this just happened to me the other day. My dog ate the end off of the charger for my laptop, so I had to go and buy another charger. And I could have gotten a much cheaper charger on Amazon for my laptop, but I decided to fork over the extra money and get the laptop charger from Dell for my Dell laptop. So that way I knew that I was using the proper charger for the proper machine.
Okay. These two questions might seem just a little bit off base, but I was just concerned about leaving items like larger batteries for outdoor equipment on the charger. If the charger's not plugged in, is that a concern?
Are you talking like, so there's kind of two different versions of that. So people oftentimes in the winter, for outdoor equipment, take like lead acid batteries out of like their lawnmowers and boats and stuff like that and leave them on chargers over winter in the basement. And
Uh-huh.
that's fine because those are lead acid batteries. Those are not lithium ion batteries.
Okay. So the
It,
batteries and so like same as lawnmowers, would snow blowers would also fall under
so
that category?
is it a purely battery powered
Yes.
snow blower? Okay. So yeah, if the charger is unplugged and the battery is sitting in the charger, because I understand that those batteries are, some of them can be a little large and cumbersome to take in and out of the charger.
Sure.
That's totally fine if you just unplug the charger. Again, that battery is not going to be having any power coming into it. So just unplugging the charger if you want to leave the battery in the charging port is totally fine as well.
Okay. And the other question I had, if like I take my cell phone into my room each night to set alarms the next morning,
Yep.
uh, if the phone itself gets wrapped up in the bedding, is that an issue? Could that overheat?
Yeah, so it's recommended that you never have your cell phone in your bedding with you. So
Okay.
whether it be leave it on a nightstand or uh like I'm not a huge morning person, so I actually charge mine on a bookshelf across the room. So when my alarm goes off, I actually have to get up and walk over to turn it off. But yeah, you should not have your cell phone in your bedding with you. A lot of times where people run into issues with that is it's under their pillow, and as that cell phone is charging up, that creates excessive heat. And then again, excessive heat essentially equates to overcharging, and that can cause those batteries to fail.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep. Let's see, Pam.
Yeah, I was wondering if Clean Sweep will take the whole device, or do you have to take the battery out, which I think I wouldn't want to be opening things up and handling the battery.
So I don't know specifically what Clean Sweep takes and what they don't take. If it's like an integrated battery, I would assume that they would take the whole device, because again, they don't want you opening it up. A lot of devices, however, have a removable battery, especially like your e-bikes and your scooters and laptops and stuff like that. So in that instance, I think they would want you to just bring in just the battery pack if possible. But if you have any specific questions about any devices that you're trying to get rid of, I would reach out to Clean Sweep and ask them your specific question. Again, I don't know exactly word for word how they want things brought to them.
Okay, and so if you take the battery out of, is there any particular way of handling them?
Yes.
No, not really. The only thing I would say is if the battery is severely damaged, like to the point where you can see inside and you can see the electronic components and you can see the battery cells, or you see any like bulging or anything, that would probably be an instant where I would try to take it out of my house, and then I would call Clean Sweep. Sometimes they have like special drums and containers that they can put the stuff in, and sometimes depending on the level of damage, they might come out and actually pick up that device, so that way it can be transported in something that inhibits that chemical reaction should it decide to start going off once it starts moving.
Okay, thank you. This is great information. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I checked real quick,
Jane.
Cameron, if you look at Home Depot will take back some kinds of batteries. I think they said up to 11 pounds and 300 whatever, up to a
Okay.
certain size. And then Best Buy, they do electronics recycling. So if you have a laptop or something there, they'll take it. They'll even help you get rid of your data on there. So
Yep. There are a lot of different programs out there, and a lot of times it has to do specifically with like what type of battery, whether it's like a standalone thing like a drill battery, or it's a laptop or something like that. So it might be worth kind of trying to figure out again what different programs are out there, and then what a lot of times, like I said, you can take those devices back to where you bought them from, and they can help you dispose of them properly. And then, of course, if applicable, get your data and stuff switched over. Looks like Harold, we got a question.
Yeah, a question regarding these fireproof bags that are designed for putting battery packs into, such as an e-bike battery, which is pretty large.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on those? Like if you're traveling, be it in a vehicle or in particular flying?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some very, very specific rules as it comes to flying with lithium-ion batteries. I believe they have to be, and don't quote me on this because I'm not a aircraft specialist, but I believe they have to be a carry-on. I don't think lithium-ion batteries can go in the belly of the aircraft with your checked baggage. But again, that as far as flying goes, that's going to be something that you want to reach out to whatever airline you're flying and see exactly what their rules are. But as far as the bags go, I guess I'm not super familiar with them. So I would have to kind of see what you have and what what it claims that it's supposed to do. I would imagine, putting it in something is always good because it protects it, whether it's rolling around in the back of your car or whatever it may be. And some of the bags might even have some sort of special uh, powder or like a blanket type material that if, one of these batteries were to decide to go into thermal runaway, that it might help slow that reaction a little bit. But the only stuff that I know of that actually stops the reaction and inhibits it from happening again is only, at least as far as I know right now, available to like large industry and first responders and then battery recycling companies. So I would say it's better than nothing, but without knowing what the specific product is, I guess I can't really comment on whether or not it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. I can research that further on my own, but thank you.
Yeah, and I'll give Mike my email address, my city email address, and he can pass it along to all of you. And if you have any questions or want me to kind of take a look at something, within reason, I can certainly try my best to try to guide you down the right direction.
Jump in, Jane.
So someone else put this on, Barb put some information on the chat about the Recyclopedia. So I was looking up batteries, Madison, and you can bring lithium batteries to the drop-off places, but you need to make sure that you carefully use clear tape so that they don't touch each other. Apparently the small button ones, for example, and they have a picture showing how you should be taping them. And even if you're going to have a bigger one, you need to do some taping to make sure that it's not going to touch another one. So there's some instructions there on what to do with the lithium batteries, the small ones. And it looks like they don't seem to say what size they would take. But again, someone could look at the Recyclopedia and it might give more information.
Yep, that's an excellent resource as well.
I actually have a question. I actually have a question. So like in your, like an electric toothbrush, I assume that inside there is a lithium battery.
Yep, that's correct.
So if you want to get rid of an old one, you need to take the whole thing to someplace. You wouldn't put it in the trash.
Correct. You
Okay.
should not put it in the trash unless you're sure. But even the older style batteries, like even your disposable AA and AAA batteries and all that, they still don't even really particularly like those in the regular trash either. And that's why the city has that battery recycling program as well. So it's crazy because you start thinking about all those little things. You're like, oh my goodness, yeah, my toothbrush, my hearing aids, my wireless headphones, my this, my that, oh my goodness, this stuff is everywhere. And it is, but again, you should try your best to properly dispose of those items.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Judy. Unmute yourself.
How's that? Better? Sorry.
Better.
I'm Judy's husband, and we have two really great little devices that we keep in each of our two cars. It's a little device. It's a battery pack, and in case ever battery really goes down, we can use this to get the car started again. Okay.
Like a jump start.
It's like a jump starter. How do we know whether that's a lithium battery or not?
So it probably says either on the device or in the information that came with it.
Okay.
It'll say what kind of battery it is, but I would say more than likely they are lithium-ion batteries because specifically for those things, again, to jumpstart a car, you need a lot of power and you need high output. So
Okay.
a lot of times those are lithium ion batteries. But again, you know, if they're just sitting in your car, you know, they're charged up, they're just sitting there, they're waiting, and they're not sitting on a charger, and you're not, you know, throwing them around and damaging them, there's really not a whole lot of risk involved with having those just sitting
Okay.
and waiting. And again, one of the great advantages of lithium ion is that they hold that high charge for such a long period of time.
Yeah,
Great.
okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
We got, we're right here at the end. Any other questions for Cameron? Well, given none, Cameron, I'll thank you from the bottom of my heart here.
Thank
This
you.
has been a great session, learned a lot.
Yeah, thanks
Really
everybody. I really
you
appreciate
taking the
it.
time to be with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you next month, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you, Mike.
We'll see you, Harold. Take care.
Take care.
Perfect, Cameron. So if anyone wants your email, I'll just give it to them. And if somebody wanted to bring by a device and ask at the fire department, is there ever anyone there who's just waiting to talk with a citizen?
We don't really have a program in place right now for people to come and
Mhm.
and ask questions about their battery powered devices. So unfortunately right now it's kind of on them to try to do some research and try to figure out what's going on with their device.
Right. Yeah, I've had a laptop where the battery started bulging,
Yep.
and they sent me, I complained to the manufacturer, and they said, well, it's not going to catch on fire. I said, well, could you send me a replacement? No, we're not making any more of those. Right now, they didn't want to give me a new computer either. It's
Right.
just like they didn't know what they were doing, I guess, when they made that battery and put it in that computer. So
Sometimes those batteries go bad over time too, and some of the older laptops were before lithium ion, so some of those batteries, without knowing the specifics, they may have been right in saying that it's not going to start on fire, but I would say anytime a battery bulges, that's not a good deal.
not a good thing. No. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Cameron. I really appreciate all of your advice today for everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty. Take care.
Yep, you too.
Bye-bye.